material that I share with you, but being here, what really made me understand more is the model. So the way it's what has, yeah, the model that has been created organically. So on the one hand, you have these people who live in urban villages. So this is the actual village that they're living in. It's the middle of nowhere. They are from the untouchable class. So the caste system is no longer officially allowed, but it's still very much present in the mind of the people. These people have limited education, limited rights. Their top priority is managing their household. And there's one thing that they are just incredibly good at, and that's the ancient craft of rug making, which was almost lost in the transition from the British being here to becoming independent. In those decades, almost these ancient crafts, rug making, but there are many other crafts that have been lost. And so you see them sitting here. This is the loom. So, and there are about 3 weavers per loom. And in one village, depending on how big the village is, there can be 3, 4 to 10, 20 looms per village. And Jaipur Rugs provides everything to the weavers. So they set up the looms, and when an order comes in, they define the raw materials that are needed, and they send it to the weavers. So it's a bit like HelloFresh at all. So I order a recipe, they bring me the ingredients and the recipe to make it. The difference is that HelloFresh, I eat it myself, and here the rugs are obviously sold. So there are many people here who also indicated to have interest in how do you communicate about vision and strategy. Again, I invite you to ask questions today, because this is an interesting case. These people, they often don't know how to read and write. So it's not like you can write visions on a slide or in documents to share your vision with them. So what is then the alternative? And an alternative that has worked so well. On the other hand, you have the consumer. The consumer lives in the city. It's a high-end consumer. He buys a luxury product, and therefore he or she has very high requirements. You have a great example of a rug here, and a very satisfied customer over here. So the people making the product and the people buying the product, in terms of the world they live in, they couldn't be further apart. And then when I looked at the organization, what is Jaipur Rugs now and what do they do? It's that they really connect the weaver on the one side, who there are 40,000 weavers. They get a lot of freedom to turn their labor into art. They also get a lot of freedom in how and what they do. So they decide how many hours per day they work, because they have to manage their household. In many cases, for example, the Manchaha project, they also decide what the rug will look like. So there's no map or design from the R&D department, or no order from the customer. They just create what you want. And they exactly know, based on how much they weave, how much they are going to earn. And that salary is guaranteed. So in a sense, in those villages, the weavers are already super self-managing. On the other hand, you have B2C customers and B2B customers who obviously want the authenticity in the rug, but they also want quality, they want no defects, and they want on-time delivery. And so Jaipur Rugs as an organization is basically a platform that is organized as a process. So you have R&D who thinks about the trends of next year, they make the designs and so on. You have sales, both online sales and face-to-face sales. You have planning, the raw materials, orders coming in, to which weaver are they going to go. Then you have warehousing, where everything is obviously in the warehouse. When the weavers are done with the rug, it still has to undergo 18 steps before you have a finished product. So that's finishing, then it has to be delivered, and then you have shared services like HR. And so what they've done is the entire organization is basically one platform in service of the weaver and the customer. And so the one question, no matter with whom I talk to, and I talked with all of these people here, is how can we elevate the weavers so that they can bless our customers? So for example, in R&D, the constraint they have is we can only innovate when it's possible within the reality of the weaver. We cannot think of anything. It has to be possible and feasible in the reality of the weaver. In sales, they have to educate their customers that this type of rug making is dependent on the weather. So they have to educate them that the delivery date sometimes can shift. And so they have to find ways, because these are high expecting consumers, they have to find a way to keep them hot and warm, even when the weather, so the sunlight is super important when the weather makes that the delivery times are shifted. And so in HR, they do a lot of initiatives to expose everyone to the entire process so that everyone understands how their job impacts someone else. So the entire process is like a platform, and they are in service of the weaver so that the weaver can make the rug, and the rug can be delivered to the customer. And in this way, they bring the weaver and the customer together. And so if you have questions about purpose alignment, I know many people of you indicated like, yeah, how do you align everyone around the purpose? Well, I think this is a great platform to ask your questions. Lastly, craftsmanship really heals people. That's something that I noticed. Here you have Prim Devi. So she was born in a village. She didn't go to school until 10, 12 years old. She was very introvert, very shy, but she has been weaving all her life. Today, she is a weaver's friend, which is some kind of coordinator role across 40 looms. So that's about 80 to 100 weavers that she's supervising. She never saw a mobile phone, yet today she has an app on her, she has a mobile phone and an app to track the progress of the rug, to track the quality of the rug, to communicate with other weavers' friends. And I was really like eye-opening, like about going out of your comfort zone. On the right-hand side, you have Harpool. He's overseeing today 2,000 weavers. The first time that NKC came to his village, he thought NKC was coming to kidnap him. Because why would a businessman come to his poor village? And today he's overseeing 2,000 people. When I asked him, what is your biggest achievement? He said, well, I was nothing. I became a brand manager of 2,000 people. I thought I was the man, but actually my ego was hindering everything. And NKC helped me overcome my ego. And that is my biggest achievement. And I was really like, whoa, that's kind of an interesting way to look at corporate success. Not the position you attain is the success, but the fact that you can be in that position and overcome your ego. And a question I also have, like, why do we invest so much money in developing our managers to do management? These people, and these are just two examples of hundreds of examples. Like there are 40,000 weavers, they all have a weaver's friend, and they all have brand managers that came up from the grassroots. And I was really like, wow, you don't really need a lot of training to supervise so many people. So I know some people of you mentioned you had some Calimero behavior in your organization. Maybe this is the time to put that on the table in terms of question.